Okay, everybody, and we're back once again with Ask an E-commerce Specialist. Now, today, super cool day because I am not hosting one of my own staff members here, or at least one of my colleagues, one of my people over here at Sales and Orders. Today, I have Robert Rand, the Director of Partnerships and Alliances at JetRails. Hey, Robert, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing great. That's one of the best intros I've ever gotten. It's awesome.
We don't fool around here. This is
No.
the real deal. But Robert, JetRails, you guys handle mission critical e-commerce hosting, which sounds a lot like you are essentially NASA, right? In the e-commerce world.
That's absolutely what we're going for. Failure is not an option with us. Well, we support e-commerce businesses and other businesses that really need to have performant web hosting. So it needs to be fast, it needs to be secure, it needs to be stable and reliable, it needs to be scalable for bursts of traffic. And they need serious support. They need a team they can rely on round the clock to be both proactively and reactively supporting them. And that's what we're here to do.
Awesome. Yeah, no, hands down, no doubt. And you work with a lot of, for example, you work with a lot of Magento customers, right? A lot of enterprise to mid-enterprise style retailers. First of all, before we get into e-commerce and everything like that, how are you doing, sir? Because everybody out there, like Rob and I have spoken before, love them. New York brethren, you were born and raised in Brooklyn. You're now in Florida.
Which is the dream.
Well, you're right. All the New Yorkers was fleeing. Just get out of here. Run.
I made it happen a little earlier than some, but
yeah, pristine timing, sir. Pristine timing. But how are you, man? How's everything going? How's life over there?
Yeah, doing good. It's I've been remote for a few years now, so I haven't had as big an impact. I mean, my 4-year-old's home from school, so life's a little bit different. But really, all's well. I can't complain in the bigger scheme of things. I'll say that as a partnership guy, that things are just busier than ever. That without trade shows and other activities, I think that folks are getting really creative about how they can partner up and work together and support businesses together. I mean, that's the key to all of it, is bringing value and helping folks. And at the same time, I host the JetRails Podcast, and we've just been rocking it with content around, around what's going on in the world right now. That there's a lot of questions being asked. There's a lot of information that, people make assumptions, but we want to get to the heart of it. What's really happening, and what do you really need to be watching out for and doing to steer and navigate your way through the current unprecedented times that we're all living through. All joking aside, there's some serious content there, but we try to make sure that at the end of the day, it's a labor of love. We want to do things that are helpful, and we want to work with like-minded folks out there in the world, and that's all it's about.
Yeah, of course. I think that's one of the things that we really connected on, was that whole people-first style culture across the board, not just for customers, but for partners and just people in general. What can we do to help the world? What can we do to help people right now? Now, like, seeing as you mentioned what's going on and how that is impacting e-commerce, because I'm sure you've seen the stats. I'm sure you've seen it all. Is again, a lot of it, I would say like 80% of it is e-commerce is booming. Everything's really going. And of course, for certain retail verticals, grocery, pet supplies, even auto parts, you'd be surprised. I think everybody's stuck at home and all they can do is work on their cars or their motorcycles, seeing a lot of traction in those areas. Are you guys seeing any kind of unique trends or anything specific on your end? Even because you have a very interesting perspective. You kind of have that infrastructure perspective, that entire back end experience of like what websites are seeing, just tell me what's going on. What do you see?
Absolutely. It is hit or miss. It is more often, I wouldn't even just say category specific, but more specific to the niche that you're in and the products that you have and what the need is right now. So, things that are going to help educate or keep kids at home busy are in demand. Things for home offices and to help get people better situated at home.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, you name it, just, office desks and chairs, webcams, Anything for home fitness is up. A lot of us are seeing a lot of these things, like you say, pets and different hobbies. Some of these sales are jumping a bit. Obviously, the emergency supplies and food and things like that are more obvious. We're also seeing some merchants pivot. And so while they might not traditionally offer certain products, in many cases, these are businesses that understand how to source product or how to make product. And so they're making their websites and their product lines relevant by evolving their current offerings. And so that's as big a part of it as anything. Some of it we think may be more of a temporary dip. So
yes. What I've been calling the shock point, or the fulcrum point, essentially, is that when this all hit, we saw it too. We saw this drastic drop in the amount of the amount of money that people are spending on their advertising. But that drop is now starting to come back up and is starting to equalize once again. Obviously, with big players like Amazon dropping out of the ads market and everything like that. So that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah,
Sure.
it's all pretty logical. Some of it, it surprises you on the tail end because you wouldn't think that many steps ahead sometimes, the same way that, the fact that when everybody started to go remote, webcams couldn't be found anymore.
Right.
It's logical. It's just not something that most people thought about hoarding in advance, that every school teacher and student and everybody was going to need one of these. So electronics in general, a lot of them seem to be doing well. Again, people trying to make the best out of their time at home. That doesn't account for the time spent at home. And so, fitness equipment might be doing well, but on the other hand, things for maybe organized sports and athletics might be down, where people aren't getting together, teams aren't meeting, and so like I say, it's going to be more specific to the individual items and and the creativity of these merchants. And I think folks are thinking on their feet, so they're actively doing what they can to rebound from any drops. Some of the other side of it, though, we talk a lot about folks that are hurting and things that they can do out there to improve their bottom line, things they can do to downsize some of their cost and to increase their marketing and to pivot. But then you've got these folks that have seen, basically, in some categories, every day is Black Friday, and they weren't necessarily ready. And that can mean things across the spectrum of their business. Shipments are being delayed, and it's not just because Amazon is focusing on essentials or swamped. There's different realities happening. For us, in some cases, we're finding people coming over that didn't have scalable enough hosting environments, that it couldn't handle the sustained traffic that they're receiving. Just like a site going down on Black Friday because too many users at the same time trying to navigate the site or place orders. So we're here to load test and to, if need be, get people in more hosting resource, or to put them in auto scaling environments, whatever the case may be, based on their individual needs. But it's not all one and the same. And I think that's that's something that not everyone always thinks about, is that when we're talking about e-commerce, especially with platforms like Magento and even, WooCommerce and, these other open source sites that we typically run into, they're snowflakes. No two sites are the same.
Yes.
And because of that, what bottlenecks you're going to run into, or what challenges you're going to run into, there's a lot of people scrambling to set up curbside, pickup as an option in their checkout. But there are different needs in different areas of the e-commerce world right now. So it's really just figuring out, what do people need to try to stabilize and try to succeed and try to ride the wave as best as they can, whether they're up or down.
What do you think those key things are? And for example, like our team and what we've done, if we can give a ton of perspective on advertising, on reducing your wasteful spending, reallocating costs to the right, But what a lot of times is, like, when I say that we can reallocate costs and we can invest spend in other areas of your marketing, often what I wind up forgetting is that there are other areas or other facets of the business where that wasted spend, or that lost revenue, so to speak, in a way, could be reallocated in a different way. Now, what would you say that those, on at least on your end, what you're seeing in your role and what JetRails does, like what do you think that those like top 3, top 4, whatever you can, really the top whatever aspects do you think that we can really begin to focus in on?
That's dangerous to ask me because I could give you a top 100 right now. We do look a lot at
for a top 100.
I hope not. I don't think I have enough coffee for that. But